Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another update for the Bleach 5e system. Now, today is a long awaited update. It is the Hollow update. So that means the anything Hollow related gets updated. Of course, not including feats and boons. That's going to be its own update. But the Hollow templates or Menos templates, the Arrancar class, Arrancar subclasses, Visored, all that is getting updated in a brand new facelift that's looking real good, if I do say so myself. So, first, we're going to go over the change log to see what are the new changes as well, and changes I made during the hotfix. Now, this is going to be slightly different. Usually, I will have the video come alongside with the update, and then about a week later, I will post a hotfix. Now, I think a week is a little too soon for people to have enough time to look at the update and make any changes, especially in their ongoing campaign. So I think moving forward, I'm gonna do the hot fixes a month after I post an update. So the updates are quarterly. So then after that, month after the update comes out, I'll do a hot fix like we usually do, where I'll post take people's questions or concerns if they see anything misspelled, something not labeled correctly. Get all those catches. We'll get them all taken care of, and then a month later, a hotfix will come out. I don't think I'm gonna do a hotfix video like technically this one is, just because I want to make sure I'm doing the videos alongside the update. So let's go right into the changelog. Um, we updated the Patreon producers. At the top of the book, there's a section where we give credit to people. Patreon producers are anyone that has donated at the highest tier on the Patreon, and you're going to get added to that Patreon producer credit. And as long as you've done it once, that's your name's going to be posted on there. If you see that you have been someone that was a captain tier patron and your name isn't on there, let me know. The Patreon kind of table where it categorizes people, it's kind of wonky sometimes, so I probably missed your name. But yeah, so we'll continue on. Remove danger sense from Fullbring Arts list. This one, it was just wasn't supposed to be on the Fullbring Arts list because it's in one of the subclasses. So that was just had to get removed. Nothing really big to go over there. Included missing word clarifying that you gain all three skill proficiencies from Jaeger subclass. It's as explanatory as it is. You're probably not even going to notice the verbiage change to clarify it. Epic spell keto armament ability clarification. This one, same thing. I don't really want to go through it. I'll just say it here. You only gain access to that spell keto while released, or ascended, I believe. Specifically, I wanted to keep it for this one. That was my intention of it. So I just made that change so it's clear. Updated and reorganized races and lineages for Chapter 4 character options. Moved hollows to Chapter 8 friends and foes. New race, Nacido. Removed hollow PC templates. Updated the Menos template. Updated Visor and Soul, now lineages. Updated hollow abilities. Rename Magia back to spellcasting. Updated a Roncar class. New Roncar subclasses. And then updated the table contents. And obviously the page numbers, since a lot of things changed. And then for the hotfix, we'll go over here. So, you'll be aware of it when we get to it. Aspect of Hubris, Imperious Will, corrected to be level 7. It was a level 11. So, oh, sorry, Jesus. It was at level 7, and we fixed it. It's supposed to be a level 11 feature. Added missing spell point pool for the Nacido racial features, just something I missed. Fix hollow ability augments named blank. Some of the augments I forgot to add their names in, so I just change that. Add a new Cero-based hollow abilities, which we'll go over on those. These ones, I just didn't finish them in time. I wanted to do all the other stuff, and they just kind of had in my little document queue of things that I was working on. And as soon as they're done, I poured them over. So they were just kind of at the bottom and didn't get to them until afterwards. But now they're in the book. Add a new Cero-based hollow abilities, which is what I'm talking about. Clarified for Esquila sealed power. Yes, this includes any new hollow abilities gained, which I'll talk about when we get to the Esquila. Fixed various typos and adjusted page numbers again because pages had to be changed. So let's go through some of these, kind of in orders. You'll see them in the book or how I kind of want to talk about them. Before we move on, I need to give my patrons a big shout out for being supporters of me and the project. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for being part of this community at any tier that you're currently at. Thank you guys so much. I'm glad to have you guys here by my side, and I hope to see you guys with me at the finish line when we get this book taken care of and finished. Thank you guys so much. And with that said, let's move on to the video. The first one I want to go over is the table of contents changes. Now, as you can see, the table of contents has been cleaned up a little bit. Before we had all these squads for the Gote 13 kind of all just here, and they took up a lot of space, which was fine at the time when I first made it because there wasn't a lot of other stuff, but it was taking up too much space. Like it was like all this here was already bleeding over to like to the next page, so you couldn't even see like the bottom part. So unfortunately, for some people that liked it to just be able to click to it, I had to get rid of it to clean up and make some more space, make more room for other things I'm going to be adding in the future. So up here, like other RPG books, still have links here to indexes or tables and stuff like that. So that's I want to try to save as much um, room over here for that in the future. So I had to clean it up. Now you can see here on chapter 4, character options, we have all the races, the sub races, we have lineages, then we have the classes. So lineages are what the soul and visored technically were. Visored was kind of like a supernatural gift that you would see in the Dungeon Master's Handbook, but it just didn't feel right. So I decided to change it to a lineage, which for those who don't know, we'll go over when we get to it. Biggest thing is a new race, Nacido. I cleaned up some of the other sub races, made things a little bit more obvious that they are sub races of human, and the high spec human is not a base human; it is a sub race of human, which we'll go over all that. Classes, just the wrong car, it's kind of the same, and nothing else really changed other than the new Esquirla armaments being added. So let's go through these one at a time. Okay, let's start with the chapter 4. Now, this area is still a little sparse. I'm not sure how much more text I want to add. If there's anything that people recommend that they want me to add on here to help them with some clarification, let me know. I know some people suggested some stuff from like the regular player's handbook or just the basic rules, but I feel like that is unnecessarily redundant as I don't really want this book to be a player's handbook as well. Like that's the player's handbook is a player's handbook or the basic rules, and that should be there where you learn the basic rules of D&D, and anything in this book is really just for this book. Now, I can post some notes of things that, like, hey, here's a reminder how this works for some things that aren't explicitly stated or as obvious in the rules of D&D. That's something I can do, but not really something I want to do, like, just quote or port over like verbatim. However, I have made a sort of an exception for lineages, as because that is something from another book, which is the Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. So I decided to not really say exactly what it says in the book. That's like a different source you should read to know what lineages are. But I have made my own little summary of those rules and what lineages are in here, which we'll read together. Lineages, as introduced in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, a lineage represents a transformation that reshapes a character's being through extraordinary circumstances. This change may occur before your story begins, or it might arise during play as events unfold. When you gain a lineage, it overrides your original race. Though vestiges of your former self may remain, lineages reflect profound physical or spiritual changes that alter your being. You may still resemble who you once were, but former abilities might fade or be replaced entirely. Whether chosen at character creation or gained later through play, your lineage should be shaped with your DM to reflect how your transformation manifests and what of your old self endures. And we also have a new part here called core racial traits. Core racial traits are a category of racial traits that all races have. This category includes ability score increases, age, size, movement, speed, and any other traits marked with an asterisk. These traits are intrinsic qualities of a race. Now, this is kind of laying a foundation for race mixing that a lot of people have questioned if that's something they could do or can do or how that work within the system. Like we see someone obviously like Ichigo, who's got qualities of Quincy and human and some Shinigami, but Shinigami's not a race, it's a job. So all that weird stuff that he is as a main character. You know, I want to lay down foundation for something like that. Try to do something like that in the future. Now, how soon that's going to be, I not really going to say right now, as I think we have the roadmap that we're working on with some more important updates. So once we get through some of those, and we're down to some other kind of things that no one really cares about that are not as important to finish, I'll start to add to that to the roadmap, or do another poll to reorganize it and see what people want me to work on next. So that's kind of lineages and core racial traits, which we'll go over. I want to quickly go over some changes. I've condensed down a lot of the races. So as you can see here, artificial souls, they have their own, they're their own race. As you can see here, some things marked with an asterisk are their core racial features. And I just condensed most of their story and what the artificial souls are for people that don't really know about Bleach or watch any of the fillers. So just to give people some idea of what it is, instead of just what I kind of had was basically just copy and pasted everything that was on the wiki. I decided to condense it. So here's the artificial souls, very condensed, a lot neater than it was before. Same thing with human. I changed it up a little bit, kind of made it what you would normally find in a regular RPG book. This is like kind of the only time you'll see uh, just kind of copy and paste information of humans in different kind of books when there's like different types of humans and subhumans. So obviously we have it here. We have the normal human traits that you will find in the regular, player's handbook, basic rules. I have it stated here specifically for some people that are very new and unaware. Subrace, choose one of the following subraces. We got high spec human, Bount, Fullbringer, or Quincy. And then high spec human, some fluff about them, and then what kind of additional features you gain from them, which is the skillful, versatile, and spiritual awareness. Next up, on the next one, we have Fullbringer traits. Again, I cleaned up and condensed some of the lore. I would like to put some pictures in here at some points, which maybe randomly when you come in the book, they'll just be added on here at some point. So, just be aware that I might throw these in here and update the book with some pictures at some point. And then this will tell you what kind of new stuff that they get. Next up, we got Quincy traits. Same thing, cleaned up. Some sections about their story and talking about the Quincy stuff. Traits here as well, depending on which Quincy type that you choose. Then we have the bounce with some more information. Here we have their stuff. Obviously, some things marked in of what, like immortality, one of their core racial traits. And then we have Nacido. Now, Nacido are a new type of race that I've added, and something that I've done in my homebrew world, in one of our storylines that we did in one of my campaigns. So let's start from the top and see what this new race is. Nacido, Spanish for born. They are not birthed by hunger or metamorphosis, but through the rare acts of physical reproduction between two Arrancar, or through the forming of a deep connection between the two and the Ryatsu coalescing into a Nacido. Regardless of method, they come into the world with more humanity than any hollow has ever known. They laugh, cry, love, and dream. And yet, at their core, something is missing. A hollow hole, often subtle but always present, is a quiet reminder that they're not whole. Among Hollow-Kai, Nacidos are seen with curiosity and uncertainty. Some view them as a next step in evolution, others as a soft dilution of hollow nature. Among humans, they walk the edge of belonging, close enough to pass, distant enough to be feared when discovered. For the Nacido, life is not about reclaiming lost humanity, it's about discovering what makes them whole. Now, I'm not going to read through the whole thing, as it's going to take, a large chunk of the video, and I'm sure this is going to be a long video regardless. But I don't want to make it any longer. So the rest of it, if you want to hear more about this race, let me know. Or sorry, you can just read it here. But let's go over their Nacido soul traits, or Nacido race. Why did I put soul on there? Uh, I'll get that changed. Creature type. You are humanoid and gain the hollow creature type tag. Basically, it just means like subtype. But in here, it's listed as type tag, which I think it might say subtype in another spot. It's the same thing. Age, a typical Nacido is between 16 and 30 years old. Their maximum lifespan remains a mystery. They appear to age and mature at the same rate as Shinigami, thus hypothesized to have the same lifespan. Size, you are large, medium, or small. Small, you choose a size. I can't smoke. Your walking speed is 30 feet. You gain dark vision out for 60 feet. Spell point pool, you have a pool of spell points equals to your hit die total plus your proficiency bonus. You regain any spent SP on a long rest. Now, for those who don't know, for most just player characters, hit die is essentially means that your level. Really, only monsters that have more hit die, um, which you should know that by now. And if you don't, there's a place in the FAQ where you can find more information on hit die. Hollow Hole. You have advantage on saving throws you make to avoid or end the charmed condition. Hollow Legacy. You inherit abilities from your parentage. You gain 2 Hollow abilities. Languages. You speak, read, and write Common and Hollow. Spiritual Awareness. You can see into interact with the ethereal plane, which is mostly what most races have that are spiritually aware. So that's how it is. So this is, mechanically, this was made for people that want to play as a hollow or like in a wrong car. But obviously, as before, they weren't balanced or created to be played alongside the other classes like Shinigami, Quincy, Fullbringer, all those. They were never meant for that. I didn't design them in mind with that. I had no intention of them playing together. It was just for people that wanted to play, an evil campaign and they wanted to play as the Arankar or Hollow and on the other side where their antagonists are the Shinigami or the humans. But I made this so in whatever kind of story you have, an Arankar can play alongside of those. So I have this there for them. However, the Arankar is still very powerful, and this kind of toned down some of the power level of them, but I still don't recommend having a Rankar play alongside the other races, just because they're just pretty powerful. They gain a lot of abilities because that's kind of the nature of the Rankar. Now we have the Soul lineage. Now this is for people that are trying to be a Shinigami. So to be a Shinigami, you need to be a soul, which I've changed and added. I believe so. If not, I'll have to do that. But let's read the soul. The spiritual beings that reside within Soul Society and the spirits of dead humans in the human realm are souls. While many souls are deceased humans from the human world, it is known that they can be born within Soul Society as well. There are a few different types of soul as described below. Pluses are benign souls in the human world. They are the spirits of a person who has died. A chain known as chain of fate protrudes from the chest and connects the soul to its living body. When this chain is severed, the soul can no longer return to its body and live. The soul can move about freely if the chain is broken, but also causes the chain to slowly corrode. Normally, pluses are sent to a soul society by a Shinigami in a ritual called Konso before the corrosion becomes significant. If the chain of fate is corroded entirely, the plus will become a hollow. Now, this is the first lineage, which I've marked it there in parentheses. Now, the soul traits, you have the following racial traits. You're humanoid, Reiki enhancement. You also count as undead for keto and effects. Size, you are medium or small. You choose a size when you gain this lineage. Speed, your walking speed is 30 feet. Ancestral vestiges. If you replace a race with this lineage, you keep the following elements of that race: any skill proficiencies, non core racial traits, and any climbing, flying, or swimming speed you gained from it. If you choose this lineage at character creation, you gain proficiency in 2 skills, and you choose a race and subrace, you gain 2 of its non core racial traits. Now, this can be 2 from the main race, 2 from the subrace, 1 from each, whichever one. You just have to choose your race, the appropriate subrace, and then you gain 2 of its non core racial traits. And then you get spiritual awareness, just to keep that in there because I want that to not be a thing. Next up is Visor. Now, before we get to Visor, I want to first get to Hollow really quickly. Now, for Hollow, I have moved it over to Chapter 8, Friends and Foes. I am willing to put this back up to where I had the racial information, if need be. But I think this is kind of the spot where it will end up at once the book is said and done, just because here we'll have all of the stat blocks and stuff like that for Hollows and NPCs. So I feel like this is kind of where it should be, though when it was in the races option, it was more convenient. But that's just something I need to let you guys know. So the hollows, all of their information about hollows has been condensed for those that kind of are big fans of Bleach and kind of know about them. Most of the stuff is not new, but this is just for people that aren't aware or new to Bleach and the setting. And I don't want this to be such a huge amount of information that it would overload the average person, as the average person doesn't have a very big attention span, me included. So here we have the Menos classification, the Gilead, the Jukas, Vassalor, all that stuff that was here previously, just condensed down. We'll go over Revelation real quickly. Then we have, talks about Ronkar and then the Menos template. Now, the Menos templates didn't get much changes. Some stuff in the Hollow Evolution got kind of cleaned up. I got Natural Weapon that's basically new. The Hollow gains one of the following Hollow abilities: Bite, Claw, Horns, Hooves, Talons, or Trunk. Just to make sure that when this gets applied to a creature, they have some form of attack that they can do. And then obviously here the hollow progression for people for the mainly for the DMs, or if you're a player playing as the hollow, all the stuff here. But let's first go up to well, actually, you know what? Let's stay here. Let's go here. I have a new section here called Hollow as Players, which I've changed. Now, before there was the Hollow PC template that I had. I got rid of that as I've updated the Menos template, and we have the Nacido that separate template is no longer needed. So let's go over this section here. Hollows as players. If players want to play as a hollow, it is recommended the entire party play as hollows. Hollows as monsters are not designed or balanced to be played alongside the other races and classes. This is what the Nacido race was created for. To build a hollow PC, it's recommended to start as an Ajukas. First, choose a non-humanoid creature from the monster manual with a CR3 or less and apply the Menos template to it. After that, you're ready to play. At the DM's discretion, they may reduce or increase the CR you can choose, the specific creature chosen, or the source you can choose a creature from. So everything just kind of got condensed there. So nothing new or different about it. But yeah, so let's go over to Revelation. So this is going to come back to how does a hollow, once you're in Jukas, or sorry, Vassalorde, how do you become an Arrancar? What is the process of that? Now, in the regular, Bleach in the storyline, it's not stated anywhere on how a Hollow or a Vassalorde becomes an Arrancar. So I decided to fill in the blanks and also leave it as vague for the DM to kind of interpret and make some other stuff or additional requirements that they may want for their own campaign that makes sense to them and their story that they're telling. So let's go over Revelación. Is the process by which a hollow transcends its primal instincts and regains a fragment of its lost self. This transformation is not a matter of choice. It occurs when a hollow develops sufficient self-awareness and identity to resist the overwhelming hunger that defines its kind. While any hollow could theoretically achieve Revelación, it is generally believed that only Ajukas class hollows or higher possess the self-awareness necessary for the transformation to occur naturally. The awakening can be triggered in many ways. Hollow might recall a memory from its human life, experience a profound event connected to its previous life, or come into contact with a powerful eldritch source such as the Hogyoku. Regardless of the catalyst, the transformation is always signified by the shattering of the Hollow's mask. This act symbolizes both the sealing of the Hollow's primal instincts and the reclamation of a portion of its original self. Upon completion, the Hollow emerges as an Arrancar, possessing Shinigami-like abilities, a humanoid form, appearance, and personality similar to what they look like in their past life. Now, this kind of, like I said, should give some cool leeway for DMs to work with their parties if they're playing as Hollows to achieve um, the rank of a Rancor, and how they can go about doing that. If it's a whole side quest that each player that's playing as an Rancor, playing as a Vassalorde, goes on to become an Rancor, or however they choose. So obviously here there's no stat requirements, there's no specific abilities needed, there's no hit die requirements, because I don't want to have that kind of statistical kind of entryway. It needs to be open. I want it to be however the DM wants to impose what kind of requirements they want to achieve. This, I think, is just, I want to keep it more RP based in this respect. So the DM, you can put in whatever requirements you want outside of this, but this is something that the players or the Hollow needs to achieve to become an Aronker. So let's get back to the other stuff. All right, let's get back to Visored and the new, well, not new, but uh, newish lineage. So up here, I have the information and the kind of fluff about Visored here all condensed down. A lot of the information from them, I took it out just because it's a lot. So I'm like, I don't need to put it on here. If you really want to look more into it, just go to the wiki. But let's go start. Oh, excuse me. Let's start with the requirements. To become a Visored, you must be an artificial soul, Bount, Fullbringer, or soul and succeed your inner battle. Quincy cannot undergo hollowification as hollow Reiryoku is poisonous to them. If a Quincy is infected by a hollow, not only does their Reiryoku weaken, but their soul itself is destroyed in a process known as soul suicide. So yes, just about everyone can be a hollow. Just made that a little bit more explicit of who can be a hollow since a lot of people are asking, and previously left it kind of vague. So now I'll be a little bit more explicit about it, so it's easier for people to understand. So let's look at the inner battle. It's pretty much the same thing as before. It's slightly different and a little bit more condensed than it was before. To gain this lineage, you must confront the hollow fused with your soul in a test of will and strength. You enter your inner world by spending 1 minute in meditation. Upon entering, the hollow manifests as a dark and monstrous reflection of yourself. The hollow has the same statistics as you, but with the Menos template applied to it by you. The hollow battles you with the sole purpose to defeat you at any cost to take over your body. Within your inner world, you have access to all of your normal player statistics, but no other equipment except your armament. Your body in the material world turns into the hollow you're battling and will attack any nearby creature, attempting to devour souls. Each soul it consumes grants the hollow a cumulative +1 bonus to all d20 rolls and damage rolls within the inner battle. If the hollow defeats you, it overtakes your body and you are lost. Your body transforms into a hollow under the DM's control. Defeating the hollow allows you to survive hollowification, granting you the features of this lineage. So the visor traits. You retain any non-core racial traits from the replaced race, but with the following changes and additional racial traits of this lineage. Creature type. You gain the hollow creature type tag. Reiryoku enhancement. You also count as a hollow for keto and effects. You hollow powers. You gain the hollow abilities you applied with the Menos template during your inner battle. Each time you gain a class level, you gain a hollow point. Then you can spend any number of hollow points you gain, hollow points to gain that many hollow abilities. Starting at character level 10, your hit die is increased by your proficiency bonus for meeting the requirements for hollow abilities. These hollow abilities are sealed within your hollow mask. And then hollow mask, you gain the hollow mask ability detailed below. Now, I have this specific here. You gain the hollow abilities you applied with the Menos template during your inner battle. And in battle, it says that upon entering the hollow manifests as a dark monster's reflection of yourself. The hollow has the same statistics as you, but with the Menos template applied to it by you. So I had this change because I've had some players previously when they would have this hollow and they would apply it on there, they would apply just some generic buffs that don't really do anything to make the battle easier. And then sometimes they'll give it like, oh, I just gave it some cheap poison abilities that don't do anything. And now that I got the hollow mask or the I have these other abilities or sorry, not armament. They would give them like sands and all these like hollow abilities that don't do anything. And then when they get the hollow when they become a visor, then they pick up some actual useful hollow abilities like Zero and a bunch of other stuff. So this kind of makes it hard. So now whatever you apply to it, those are the abilities you're gonna get. And so that's you gotta earn those abilities. So it's technically a little bit harder now, but the kind of stuff you get from it is just there's no real downside to it. It's just getting the visor is really hard, and Yeah, so that's what I've the change to it. Let's continue on with the Hollow Mask. Casting time. Bonus action, self, components, somatic, duration, special. Your mask has a total duration of 1 minute times your PB. You can use your mask in increments of 1 minute. When 1 minute ends and you don't dismiss the mask, the duration will extend to the next minute, expending it even if you don't use the full minute. You regain all expended minutes when you finish a long rest. You can dismiss your mask as a bonus action. While you're wearing your mask, you gain the following benefits. You gain access to your hollow powers. All forms of movement increases by 20 feet. You have damage resistance to non-magical sources, power augmentation, choose one ability score. You have advantage on ability checks and saving throws made with a chosen ability. Enhanced power, choose one of the following. Your armament deals additional damage equals to your PB. The saving throw DC of your Keto increases by 1. Your unarmed strikes deals an additional die, or you gain a +1 bonus to AC. Hollow Surge, if a hollow ability fails to recharge at the start of your turn or has no remaining uses, you can expend 1 minute of your hollow mask to recharge it or gain one use. Now, the newest things is a power augmentation and enhanced power. Before, I had it to be just kind of melee based only, but as we can see with Hachi, I want the options to be kind of open for other types of builds like spell casting. So that's what I have. The power augmentation, I changed that to choosing one ability score instead of it just being on strength. And then enhanced power again, a nice little pool of different options depending on what kind of build you're going for or to help supplement a build that you are making. And then Hollow Surge just to gain back some of those abilities that are, really powerful abilities and you run out of uses for them. And you can expend some of your Hollow Mask power for those. So that is a new Visored lineage. Let me know what you guys think about it. If you think this is better, I would like to hear your thoughts about it. All right, now we are to the Arrancar class once a Hollow has achieved Revelacion. So let's look at the fluff that we got here. Arrancar. In the pale silence of Huecamundo, a Hollow feasts on another soul, one no different from the rest. But this one lingers, it burns. A flood of fleeting memories surges through the Hollow, a child's laugh, a lover's scream, or a name it should not know. For the first time in what could be ages, something stirs beneath the hunger. Revelation. And in that unbearable moment of clarity, the creature claws at its mask, not to escape pain, but to chase it. Their mask shatters, something new emerges, breathing heavy in the still air. And a Rancor is born not from instinct, but from interruption, a single crack in the endless spiral of consumption. Where others remain lost in the dark, these are the ones who remembered. Their broken masks are scars of transcendence, proof that even monsters can awaken, and through they wield their power with the cold precision of predators. The fire that fuels them is no longer hunger. It's grief, it's rage, it's loneliness, it's the echo of a soul that refused to stay buried. A second chance. The process of becoming an Arankar is not one of choice. It is a process that happens when a hollow survives long enough and gathers the necessary power to reclaim some of its lost humanity. The transformation is not without cost, as their primal instincts that once defined them does not disappear, become sealed within a weapon. Regular create and then you can see here requirements, Nacido or a hollow that has completed Revelacion. Class features, they have a D10, proficiencies, armor none, weapons, simple weapons, saving throws, constitution, skills, choose one skill of your choice, equipment, a set of Arankar Zori, one simple weapon. Here we have the Arankar class table with all the stuff that they get. And then we have the features. Level 1, you get an Esquirla, Spanish for shard. This weapon is a part of the mask that was torn off when you became an Arankar. Your former hollow power is now sealed within this weapon. Further details listed under the Esquirla armament in the armaments chapter. At level 1, you also get hollow ability. At level 1, and again at each odd level, you gain a hollow point. Whenever you gain a level, you can spend any number of hollow points to gain that many hollow abilities. Additionally, you can no longer gain hollow points from the hollow evolution trait if you have it. Next up, level 1 Sonido. You gain the Sonido hollow ability. Level 1 Hollow Aspect. You gain an Arankar subclass of your choice. Same thing, 1st, 3rd, 7th, 11th, and 15th. Ability score improvement, nothing different. Level 5, you gain the multi-attack hollow ability. Level 9, Indomitable, like the Shinigami, since these are mirrors of the Shinigami. Same thing with enhanced durability, timeless body, and epic boon. But the biggest thing that everyone is so excited for is the subclasses, which are called hollow aspects. So let's look at the first one. We have the aspect of rage. Those who embody the aspect of rage are living avatars of wrath. Their hollow instincts churn with violent fury, and every wound feels their unstoppable power. The aspect of rage represents primal, destructive escalation. Wounds are ignored, pain is turned into strength, and fury is unleashed in apocalyptic bursts. Level 1, you get Rageful Instincts. You're proficient in strength saving throws. You get 2 skills from the list here. And then you get Unarmored Defense. While you're not wearing any armor or using a shield, your armor class is 10 plus your dex modifier plus your con modifier. Next up, we have level 1, the kind of bread and butter of the subclass Ida. You have a Rage Bull, representing stored power. You gain 1 rage point whenever the following happens. When you are dealt damage by an enemy, if the attack was a critical, you gain 2 RP instead, once per turn. When you are dealt damage by an enemy and become bloodied, once per turn. When an enemy forces you to make a saving throw and you unwillingly fail, once per turn. You score a critical hit on an enemy, once per turn. These rage points last indefinitely until spent. You can use your rage points on any of the following rage powers listed below. Savage Blow, 1 RP. When you hit a creature with the melee attack, you can spend 1 RP a number of times equal to your strength modifier. You'll deal XD4 bonus damage and push the target up to 10 times X feet away from you in a direction you choose, where X is equal to the amount of time you spent 1 RP this way. Now, this is a slightly new format that I don't really do. I think I've done this one other time. So just to make this a little easier and make the wording a lot more condensed, let me know what you guys think about this format here. So obviously, if you pay 1 RP for this ability 5 times, X is 5. That means you'll do XD4 bonus damage, and you can push the target up to 50 feet away from you in a direction you choose. So hopefully, basic algebra, basic elementary algebra is not going to be a struggle for most people that read this book. That's what I hope for. But if it is, please speak up, let me know. Or if just in general this format isn't that great, I can change it. Next one we have is Shrug It Off, 2 RP. Whenever you take damage, reduce the damage by your level plus your Constitution modifier. Rage Burst, 5 RP. As an action, you can unleash your fury in a 10-foot radius, plus 5 feet for each size category above medium that you are. All creatures must make a strength save, DC 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your strength modifier, or take 40-10 force damage and be knocked prone. On a success, taking half damage and they're not knocked prone. Next up, at level 3, we have Furor. While released, when you have the specified number of rage points as per the table, your size increases, your weight increases, and size of your weapons, if any, also increases and deals extra damage. So if your if rage points pool is 4, nothing changes in size or weight, but you get a +2 to damage. At 8, your size category increases by 1, your weight is doubled, and your damage is now 3. If you have 16, instead, your size category goes up by 2, your weight's tripled instead, and your damage is +5. And then same thing at 32, +3 size category, weight is quadrupled, and your damage is +8. Next up, at level 7, we have Fuerza del Furor. When you would gain rage points, you gain double the amount. Additionally, when you hit a creature that is at least 1 size category smaller than you with a melee weapon attack, you reroll any ones on the damage dice. Now, I want people to read this with some critical comprehension skills. When you hit a creature that is at least 1 size category smaller than you with a melee weapon attack, you re-roll any ones on the damage dice. So let's say you do 66. You roll 3 ones. You re-roll them because the ability tells you to. And then say you roll 2 ones again. You re-roll them because this ability says you re-roll any ones on damage die. So you keep re-rolling the ones until you don't see a 1. Just to make that clear for some people that don't understand this. That might not. So I want to make sure that's clear. Next up, we have level 11, Titanic Might. You gain the following benefits. Siege Monster. You gain the Siege Monster summon ability. Summon ability? What the fuck? I'll fix that. It's supposed to be hollow. It's treated as a hollow ability. Titanic Rage. While released, the range and area of effect, cone, cylinder, line, etc., of your hollow abilities and keto are doubled by each size category above large that you are. So let's say you do a hollow ability that is a cone size of 15 and you're only one category above large, that gets doubled to 30. And if again you go up one more, it'll double again. So it'll be 15, it'll be 30, and then it'll be 60. So each time, just so people kind of understand what that means. Additionally, you gain the following rage power: Hammer Blow, 3 RP. When you hit another creature with a melee weapon attack that is at least one size category smaller than you, you can attempt to stun them. The target must succeed on a Constitution saving throw, DC 8 plus your PB plus your Strength modifier, or be stunned until the end of your next turn. Similar to stunning strike from the um, monks, but obviously for this year when you're very large. Next up, we have level 15, Colossal Fury. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon and they're at least 2 size categories smaller than you, the damage die size of the weapon increases by 2 steps. Starting at 18th level, whenever you hit a creature with a melee weapon and they're at least 2 size categories smaller than you, the hit is a critical automatically. So yeah, that's pretty strong ability. Now, as you can see, this is obviously modeled after Yami. And from the name, I'm sure you could tell as well for the aspect of rage. And this class is kind of built similar to what I would interpret his abilities to be like. So as he gets more hit, he takes damage. He builds up fury, and when he releases, then that's when you get the benefits of it with increases in size and dealing extra bonus damage and a bunch of other rage powers. So let me know what you guys think about Aspect of Rage, if you like it or don't. I'd like to hear your comments below. Next up, we have Aspect of Destruction. Those who embody the Aspect of Destruction are living avatars of annihilation. Their bodies are weapons, and their instincts are honed for relentless slaughter. Every strike they make sharpens their ferocity, and every foe felled only fuels their momentum. The Aspect of Destruction represents pure, unyielding aggression. Hesitation is fatal, mercy is weakness, and overwhelming offense is the only path to survival. At level 1, you get Destructive Instincts. You are proficient in dexterity saving throws. Choose skills from the following list that you're proficient in. Natural Weapon. You gain one of the hollow abilities: Bite, Claws, Hooves, Horns, Stinger, Tail or Tentacle, Talons, or Trunk. Primal Grace. You use dexterity instead of strength for the attack and damage rolls of your natural melee weapons. Now, it says you use dexterity instead of strength, not you may or that you can swap between the two. It is changed to dexterity instead of strength. Next up, at level 1, we have Natural 2-Weapon Fighting. When you take the attack action and attack with the natural melee weapon, you can use a bonus action to attack with a different natural melee weapon. You don't add your ability modifier to the damage of the bonus attack unless that modifier is negative. Now, I wanted it to make this build around 2-weapon fighting. As you can see, this is like a dex-based 2-weapon fighter. And I wanted to try to use the existing rules, but all of them just don't work because it says like you have to be wielding, like holding the weapon, and you're not wielding or holding some of these natural weapons like your claws or your horns and stuff like that. So I tried my best to use those wordings, but there's like too many stuff where it says like you have to be holding a weapon in your hand. And I thought it would be too awkward to just say like, oh, you're considered holding your natural weapons and things like that. But some of the wording just got really awkward that I didn't like it. So I decided to just kind of do it all from scratch and make wording and change it all so it specifically plays with just with the natural weapons. Because I wanted it to be focused around the natural weapons. As we see within obviously who this is modeled after, which is Grimjo. But let's continue on. Level 3, Feral Frenzy. When you reduce a creature to 0 hit points with a natural weapon attack, you gain a +1 bonus to AC until the start of your next turn. Level 3, Relentless Flurry. When engaging in natural 2-weapon fighting, you make 2 attacks as a bonus action instead of 1. Next up is Level 7, Killer Instincts. When you make an opportunity attack with a natural melee weapon, you can make a second attack with a different natural melee weapon as part of the same reaction. Level 7, Improved Natural 2-Weapon Fighting. When engaging in natural 2-weapon fighting, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the bonus attacks. Level 11, Wild Onslaught. As a bonus action, you make one attack with each natural weapon you possess, and each attack must target a different creature within that weapon's reach. Level 15, Savage Flourish. At the end of your turn, choose one creature that you attacked with at least one natural melee weapon during this turn. That creature loses HP equal to 4 times the number of natural weapon attacks you hit it with this turn. In addition, the creature loses an additional 1d6 HP for each different natural melee weapon you hit that creature with during this turn. You can use this feature twice, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. At 18th level, the HP lost this way is doubled. So let's read this again. At the end of your turn, choose one creature that you attacked with at least one natural melee weapon during this turn. That creature loses HP equal to 4 times the number of natural weapon attacks you hit it with this turn. That means if you had 4 attacks and you only landed 2, that means it's 2 times 4, which would be 8. And in addition, the creature loses an additional 1d6 HP for each different natural melee weapon you hit that creature with during this turn. So let's say that you hit the creature with 2 different natural weapons. Then that would be 2d6. And then you can use this feature a limited amount of times. So that's what that means. So as you can see, this is modeled after Grimjo with his whole kind of claws, usually when you see him in his release form. And I wanted to model after that as like a 2-weapon build. You're doing a lot of different attacks, but it's obviously limited with your natural weapons. So that's what I wanted this to be around, to be this very aggressive and offensive class. So as you can see, the only kind of defensive thing they have is Feral Frenzy. And if you want to do anything more defensive, you can use hollow abilities or something else, or your armament to help supplement your defensive needs. But let me know what you guys think about the aspect of destruction. If you like it, what are your thoughts about it? Next up, we have aspect of sacrifice. Those who embody the aspect of sacrifice are living avatars of selflessness. Their instincts drive them to bear the pain of others, shielding allies by offering their own flesh and resolve. The aspect of sacrifice represents endurance through suffering. Wounds are welcomed, burdens are carried, and survival of the pack is prioritized. Level 1, Sacrificial Instincts. You're proficient in strength saving throws. Choose 2 skills from the following. You're not proficient in them. You gain Living Shield. When a creature you can see attacks an ally that is within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to change the target to yourself. Selfless Resilience. Whenever you take damage from an attack or Keto where you weren't the initial target, you gain resistance to that damage. Additionally, you have resistance to damage from opportunity attacks. So this is to help with Living Shield and some of the other abilities that the class will grant. Level 3, Bond of Sacrifice. When you finish a long rest, you can bond with up to 3 target allies that you can see within 30 feet. This bond lasts until you end it, no action, or you're knocked unconscious, whichever happens first. While bonded, you gain the following abilities. When an enemy you can see targets a bonded ally within 30 feet of you with a Keto, as a reaction, you can change the target to yourself. When you would benefit from a Keto, you can instead have one of your bonded allies benefit from it instead. When you would regain HP, you can choose a bonded ally to regain those HP instead. Whenever a bonded ally you can see would take damage, you can use your Sonido directly towards your ally as a reaction. If this movement would bring you within 10 feet of your ally, you take the damage that would be dealt to them. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your Constitution modifier, minimum once, and regain all expended uses on a long or short rest. Next up, we have level 7, Retribution. Enemies provoke an opportunity attack from you when any of the following occurs. An enemy misses a melee attack against one of your bonded allies. An enemy hits one of your bonded allies. An enemy moves into your bonded allies or your reach. An enemy moves 5 feet or more while within your reach or your bonded ally's reach. And this is just to help, be like the tank of the Arrancar, someone very supportive and tanky and trying to maneuver and control the battlefield for your allies. Next up, level 7, Reactor Protector. You gain a number of additional reactions equal to your Constitution modifier. These additional reactions can only be used on your aspect of sacrifice features, and you can only use one reaction per turn in combat. This is just to help with the rest of the features that the class grants you. Level 11, Shoulder Burden. As a bonus action for each bonded ally, you may transfer up to one condition affecting them to yourself. You must be able to see the ally, and the condition must allow a saving throw. If the condition allows saving throws to end it, you make those saves as normal in place of your ally. Additionally, for each condition you transfer to yourself, you gain 10 temporary hit points. Level 11. Level 15, Martyr. This one is a doozy. When you would be reduced to 0 HP, not killed outright, you can choose one of the following. Martyr attack. You make one melee attack against a creature that reduces you to 0 HP. You have advantage on this attack. If this attack would hit, it's an automatic critical. Martyrdom. Each bonded ally that is dead is affected by the Revivify Keto and regain a number of HP equal to your level plus your proficiency bonus. You gain 2 failed death saving throws. Starting at level 18, you can use this feature even if you're killed outright. Additionally, each option is further empowered. Martyr attack. If you would already crit with this attack, such as rolling a 20, the damage dice you would deal is maxed. Martyrdom. Each bonded ally may end up to 2 conditions affecting them and regain an additional number of HP equal to your constitution score. Very powerful ability, especially Martyrdom, something that you can choose to do when you as a tank, if it would ever go down, you give those benefits to your teammates, usually in cases where you're the last one standing, from being able to just soak up damage or, smarter enemies is blitzing your backline and stuff like that happening. If like that would happen, you have this level ability to help them out and bring them back. And obviously, this is modeled after our queen Haribel. And obviously, the bond of sacrifice, you can choose up to 3 to kind of reflect her faction, which has only 3 members. So this is kind of what my interpretation would be of the aspect of sacrifice and keeping someone like Haribel in mind of her thoughts of, all those should be all kind of unified, and especially with her faction as she kind of, sees over them and is like has a motherly bond over them. So yeah, that's what I've made for them. For the aspect of sacrifice, let me know what you guys think. Next up, we have aspect of hubris. Now, this one is a custom one that I made and one that I've been kind of going back and forth with and deciding on how to do, especially with this other one that I have that we'll go over later on. So let's look at the aspect of hubris. Those who embody the aspect of hubris are living avatars of pride and boundless ambition. Their brilliance and cunning make them formidable, yet each act of overreach edges them closer to their own downfall. The aspect of hubris represents the intoxicating allure of intellect and power. They bend reality to their will, challenge fate itself, and risk everything on the strength of their own arrogance. Now, this is kind of like a trope that I wanted to add here, where you see a lot of, different types of villains in media, especially in manga and anime, where they are just so big-headed, they're so arrogant that they don't think they would ever be able to be taken down. And I wanted to make a subclass to model around that, and it made so perfect sense to have that be for the Arrancar. So let's go over their abilities. Level 1, Hubristic Instincts. You gain proficiency in intelligence saving throws. Choose 2 skills from the following, you're not proficient in them. Magia. You gain the spellcasting hollow ability. Intelligence is your spellcasting ability. Your base spell points are doubled. Whenever you finish a short rest, you regain a number of spell points equal to your proficiency bonus. You gain Presumptuous Prowess. When you fail an ability check, you can choose to reroll it with advantage. If the ability check still fails, your hubris leaves you off balance. For the next minute, you have a disadvantage on ability checks. Proud Disposition. You have advantage on saving throws you make to avoid or end the frightened condition. Now, as you can see, right away from Presumptuous Prowess, there's going to be abilities that you get from this where it is double-edged. You can get a bonus, but if you fail because of this big bonus you gain some debuffs on yourself. Now, this is obviously to mirror the flavor of someone with such hubris and arrogance that, you see that with Aizen too, when Ichigo kind of like grabbed them in the final fight and like took him off into the mountains. Like he was just stunned for a second. Like, how can this be possible? I'm so powerful, and they're kind of just shaken. So I wanted to have that kind of effect for this class. So let's continue on. Level 3, Keto Prodigy. You gain the spell casting Increased MSL augment. You gain this augment again at levels 5th, 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th, 15th, and 17th. Additionally, you learn 2 Keto of your choice from the Shinigami spell list and learn an additional Shinigami spell each time you gain an Arankar. Now, this probably won't make much sense right now, but you'll see it when we get to the Hollow ability. Level 3, Arrogant Rebuff. When a creature hits you with an attack, you can use your reaction to force it to reroll the attack with disadvantage. If the reroll still hits you, your arrogance leaves you exposed. The next attack that creature hits you with scores a critical hit on a roll of 18 or higher. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Level 7, Keto Adept. You gain a Keto feat of your choice. Level 7, Prideful Defiance. When you fail a saving throw, you can choose to reroll it with advantage. If the reroll still fails, your pride is wounded and leaves you vulnerable. The next saving throw you make against a Keto or ability used by that creature is made with disadvantage. Level 11, Keto Specialist. You can now use spell points to create one slot of each level 5th or higher a number of times for long rest equal to half your PB rounded down. Level 11, Imperious Will. When you cast a Keto that forces a saving throw, you can impose disadvantage on one target's first saving throw. If the target succeeds, your will is weakened. The target has advantage on saving throws against your Keto for the next minute. Level 15, Keto Expert. Your spell save DC for your Keto increases by 1. Level 15, Vainglorious Surge. When you cast a Keto of 1st through 5th level that deals damage, you can deal maximum damage with that Keto. If any of the damaged creatures remain conscious or become unconscious and regain consciousness before the start of your next turn, you are shocked for 1 minute. At the end of each of your turns, you can roll a wisdom saving throw, DC equal to your Rancor level plus your wisdom modifier. On a success, ending the effect. So, as you can see here for this ability, it is the kind of the double-edged sword of it. You can maximize your damage, but if any of those creatures are still up after doing that, you're going to get the shocked condition. So that's something I wanted to kind of, as you can see, oh, we actually forgot the last one. Starting at level 18, you may use this feature for Keto 6th through 8th. If you do, and you would become shocked from this feature, you become incapacitated and immobilized instead. Like I stated previously, I wanted this to be kind of a custom subclass that I made personally, that I wanted to embody some of those tropes of these arrogant kind of villains that you see. A lot of these abilities are double-edged. Obviously, this is more caster based because that's kind of normally how you would see most of these people. They're like wizards or very powerful mages that are just like so, have such big heads and don't think anybody or anything can stop them. So I wanted to keep that same kind of flavor in this subclass. So let me know if you think I hit it and if it is, how I would want this to be. Next up is Aspect of Spite, another subclass one that I made specifically. Those who embody the aspect of spite are living avatars of bitterness and malice. Their hollow instincts fester into curses that wither body and soul. Fueled by resentment, they lash out with malign sorcery, ensuring their enemies suffer and fall under the weight of their malevolence. The aspect of spite represents venomous hatred given form. Enemies are marked, their strength twisted among them, and until spite itself consumes them. Level 1, Spiteful Instincts. You gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws. Choose 2 from the following, you're not proficient in them. Magia, you gain the spellcasting ability. Wisdom is your spellcasting score. Maleficio, you learn the Hex Keto. It's considered a hollow Keto. You can cast Hex without spending SP a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. You regain expended uses on a long rest. Level 1, Hex Mastery. When you cast Hex using a spell slot of 2nd level or higher, the damage increases by 1d6 for each slot above 1st. When an enemy affected by your Hex dies, you regain HP equal to your Rancor level plus your Wisdom modifier, minimum 1 HP. Evil Eye. As a bonus action, you can see through the cursed creature's eyes and hear what it hears while you concentrate, gaining the effects of any special senses that the creature has. During this time, you are deaf and blind with regard to your own senses. Now let's quickly go back up to the first one. When you cast a Hex using a spell slot of 2nd level or higher, the damage increases by 1d6 for each slot above 1st. Now, some of you will read this right away and get confused. Why is it referring to spell slots when we use spell points in the system? We do use spell points, but as per the rules of spell points, You use those spell points to create a leveled spell slot of whichever one you're doing, and then it gets consumed for the spell right away. Now, this is something that no one really talks about or matters because it's all just shortcut, or level this like a level 3 slot. It costs 5 SP, so you just spend 5 SP and you do the level 3 spell abilities. But technically, what you're doing is spending SP to create a spell slot of that level to use for that spell. And they're worded that way so they can work with existing abilities that require spell slots. Um, so that's why spell points are worded that way. Um, you can even look into the Dungeon Master Guide and see it. Like it tells you there too. And even in the Shinigami, I have that listed as well. Level 3, Withering Hex. You gain the following benefits. A cursed creature by a hex also has disadvantage on saving throws of the chosen ability. The cursed creature also has disadvantage on concentration checks. Level 3, Hex Conduit. You may cast Keto from a cursed creature by your hex as if you were in their space. Now, that means you could also target that creature as well. So if a spell is like a melee touch or whatever, you can melee touch them because you're casting it from that spot and you can hit them with it. But yeah, obviously there's still restrictions of like if you don't have vision of the creature and you're trying to cast spells, like you can't cast certain spells because you need to see whatever target you're trying to target. But some abilities, some spells don't really need to, so there's that. Next up is level 3. Level 7, Malefic Reversal. Whenever you're targeted by a Keto and you can see the caster, as a reaction, you can change the target of that Keto to the creature cursed by your hex if they're within 30 feet of you. If the Keto has multiple targets, the other targets don't change. You can use this feature a number of times equals to as a modifier, minimum 1, you regain expended uses on a long rest. Now, this means whenever you're targeted by a Keto, it doesn't matter who is doing the targeting at all. Just the fact that you're being targeted will trigger this Keto. So even if your ally is like, hey, I'm gonna, cast a spell that's beneficial to you, you can just have the target be switched to the creature cursed by your hex. Or if the hex creature is targeting you, it still triggers the effect because you're being targeted by a Keto. Doesn't matter who it's doing. All that matters is you're being targeted by a Keto, and you can change the target to whoever is your cursed, and they have to be within 30 feet. Are basically the only kind of rules for it. Next up is level 11, Armor of Hexes. If the target cursed by your hex hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to roll a d6. On a 4 or higher, the attack instead misses you, regardless of its roll. Level 15, Master of Hexes. The damage dice size of your hex is now a d8. Whenever you deal damage to a cursed creature affected by your hex, you regain HP equal to as the modifier. When the creature cursed by your hex dies, you can apply the curse to a different creature you can see within 30 feet of you. No action. Starting at level 18, the damage dice size of your hex is now a d10. Now, as you can see for this one, there's like the Hex Blade, Warlock, and kind of like Hex kind of builds some people do sometimes in 5e. I wanted this to be that. I am a big fan of hexes and all that, and that spell and those abilities, that I wanted to create a class to revolve around it. And this is kind of what I got in my kind of version of that. And I think it's pretty cool. I like the whole thing. Makes you focus on this hex kind of ability of debuffing a singular enemy. So yeah, that's my interpretation of these two custom aspects that I've made that aren't really tied to any existing espada or Arrancar within the source material. However, not the case with our next one. Our final aspect is aspect of solitude. Those who embody the aspect of solitude are defined by their longing for connection. Born of isolation, they split their soul to escape the emptiness that haunts them, creating companions that fight alongside them as extensions of themselves. The aspect of solitude represents the struggle to overcome loneliness, a divided self yearning for companionship, yet finding strength in the bond forged with what is ultimately a part of themselves. Level 1, Lonely Instincts. Gain proficiency in charisma saving throws. Choose 2 from the following, you're not proficient in them. Divided Soul. You've split your essence into 2 beings, creating a sidekick. In combat, your sidekick acts immediately after your turn, sharing your initiative. To release your armament, your sidekick must be within 5 feet of you to reassimilate. Your sidekick uses the commoner stat block with the Menos template applied to it. If your sidekick dies, it is forcibly reassimilated into you. You gain 4 levels of exhaustion that cannot be removed by any means, and you lose the ability to release. At the end of each week, you may attempt a constitution saving throw. On a success, you remove 2 of these exhaustion levels. On a failure, you remove 1. When all such exhaustion is removed, your soul has healed, and you may spend 1 hour in ritual to create a new sidekick. Now, right away, some people might think, wow, that is such a big drawback for using your sidekick. Yes, yes, it is. Having a sidekick or an overpowered, basically familiar or pet is quite powerful, and there needs to be an equal downside to using it. And especially not just using it as some kind of meat bag or whatever, as this is like another person. Like when this person dies and you create a new sidekick, it's a new one. It's not the same person that gets reborn and comes back out. It's a whole new sidekick. And I wanted to have that there for like RP reasons as well. But yeah, like they have the Menos temple applied. Like the action economy you can do on a turn is basically doubled because you have this sidekick now, and it gets a little bit more stronger later on with the things it can do. So let's continue on and see what I'm talking about. Level 3 is Soul Partition. You gain a pool of 4 soul shards. While released as an action, you can expend shards to summon spectral spirits known as camarades for up to 1 minute. These camarades take the form of beasts of your choice and appear in unoccupied spaces you can see within 30 feet. If a camarade is ever more than 1,000 feet from you at the end of your turn, it is destroyed. The number and CR of camarades you summon depends on the shards spent, as shown on the Soul Partition table. For example, by spending all 4 shards, you can summon 1 CR, 1 or 2 CR and a half beasts. At 7th level, your soul shard pool increases to 8. You regain all spent shards when you finish a long rest. In addition, you can spend 5 SP to store 1 shard. And here is the CR table and the soul shard cost of each one. Each beast is also considered a hollow, and it disappears when it drops to 0 HP or when the duration ends. The camarades are friendly to you and your companions. Roll initiative for the camarades as a group, which has its own turns. They obey any verbal commands that you issue to them. No action required by you. If you don't issue any commands to them, they defend themselves from hostile creatures, but otherwise take no actions. This is kind of similar to the summon monsters spell that you would find within base D&D, but a little bit more different and a little bit more powerful. As I need to keep this in mind of the setting. But let's continue on. Level 3, Mending of Self. As an action, you can choose a number of camarades up to your charisma modifier within 30 feet of you. You expend 1 of your hit die, and the camarade regains HP equal to the roll. At 7th level, each camarade regains additional HP equals to your charisma modifier. At 11th level, each camarade regains additional HP equal to your proficiency bonus. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, minimum once. You regain expended uses when you finish a long rest. Level 7, Many as One. The amount of creatures you summon with Soul Partition is doubled. Level 7, Lonely Stride. As a bonus action, you can teleport, magically swapping places with the camarade at the cost of 50 feet of your movement, regardless of the distance between the 2 of you. Level 7, Share Senses. You can temporarily transfer your consciousness to one of your camarades. As an action, you can see through its eyes and hear through its ears. During this time, you're deafened and blinded. You can sustain this effect for up to 10 minutes, and you can end it at any time. Requires no action. Level 11, Hollow Legionnaire. Your camarades have the Menos template applied to them. Yeah, very powerful. Level 7, Soul Rebound. When a camarade of yours is destroyed by an enemy, you can gain a number of temporary hit points equal to 2d6 plus your charisma modifier. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, minimum once. You regain expended uses when you finish a long rest. Legion of One. Level 15, you gain your soul shard pool. Level 15, Legion of One. Your soul shard pool increases to 16. Level 15, Legion Assault. As an action, you command each of your camarades to move up to their speed and make 1 melee attack against a creature you can see within their reach. They do not need to attack the same target. You can use this feature twice, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Now, Some people, when they think of Stark, which is what this is modeled of, they think obviously of his guns. But I think, and it's stated that his main ability, the main thing about Stark, is his power to divide his soul, is which is what he did when he made Lilionette. When he first became Stark, like he was a different Hollow that split into Lilionette and Stark. And when he becomes released, he talks about his power too. That hey, I can further divide my soul and make all these kind of wolves. So that's what soul partition is for. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to model the subclass over around that soul partition ability that he has in creating allies and creating more monsters. And it's very powerful because you're essentially increasing your actions that you can do around by a lot, which is obviously like divided soul states. If you want to release, you need to have your sidekick next to you to re-assimilate with them, like Stark does with Liliana. Now, for some of you, you might not know what sidekicks are. Now, sidekicks were introduced in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. For those who've been playing D&D for a very long time, sidekicks have not been something new. They've been previously known as like cohorts. I guess technically, like a familiar could be considered a sidekick, but sidekicks are essentially like unique, independent, like NPCs that the player controls, that they have that are their sidekick. So on here, that's what this ability grants. You gain a sidekick, and there's like specific sidekick levels that you get from that source. However, you want to interpret this for DMs that don't have access to Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, even though the book is available online through many various sources. That's what this does. And I don't really have a good spot, as you can see. I mean, I can put in something of what sidekicks are if people really need it, because I still have all this extra room. But you know, but yeah, so those are all of the aspects that are brand new for the Arrancar subclass. So let's go through next is the armament for the Arrancar, the Esquirla. The Esquirla, weapon, any melee weapon, legendary, requires to imbind Arrancar, a shard of your former hollow mask manifested as a weapon. Choose an armament type to be your base, except Halic and Hollow. Your Esquila level is the same level as your Arrancar level. Now, some of you might be kind of confused or, you know, surprised about why you can't choose Hollow to be your base type for your armament type, since you're Hollow. Well, Hollow really isn't a armament type like all of the others that you kind of focus on. It is just something where you pull and gain hollow abilities from, like just like categorized together, kind of like generic. You do pick generic as your main type. It's just something that everybody has access to pick from. So that's kind of why you can't pick hollow to be your main type. Level 1, Sealed Power. Your Esquirla functions as a seal for your hollow powers. The following hollow powers are sealed unless otherwise stated. All immunities are sealed. Choose one sense, the rest are sealed. This means dark vision, true sight, any of those senses. All non-racial traits are sealed. Additional appendages outside a normal humanoid form are sealed, such as wings, extra limbs, a beak, tail, etc. Stuff like that. Not brain. All non-attack actions, bonus actions, and reactions are sealed. Any gained hollow abilities are sealed as well. Additionally, choose a melee weapon from the weapons listed in the player handbook or another source approved by GM. Your skill takes the form of the chosen weapon. This choice is permanent. It takes on the same properties and statistics of the chosen weapon, and you are considered proficient with it. Now, some of you might see some of this and still be kind of confused, which is weird because I'm sure you've seen some stat blocks, and let's let's just go over it. So, traits. These are your traits that would be sealed. Senses, like you can see from this aboleth, they have dark vision. That means one of these would be sealed. The non-attack actions, so stuff like enslave, that gets sealed. Legendary actions such as these kind of stuff get sealed. But obviously, if you're picking stuff, that's kind of different for the monsters that the Hollow makes. But you know what I mean. So these are kind of examples that I wanted to give of what would be kind of sealed with the Hollows. Next up, we go Resurrection. Now, before Resurrection was basically the Ascended form and the release form for the Arrancar, but I've slightly changed it. As you can see, something down here, which we'll go over. So let's start out with basically the equivalent of first stage would be, which is Resurrection. You regain your hollow powers and true form. As an action, you spend 2 SP to activate Resurrection, becoming released. This form lasts for a number of minutes equal to your proficiency bonus, which you can dismiss as an action. You gain the following benefits while released. You gain access to any sealed hollow powers, bestial armaments. All natural weapons are treated as your armament. Your maximum HP is doubled, and you regain 5 HP per rank or level. You gain a secondary armament type and 2 armament abilities of your choice in the selected armament type. Level 2, you gain 2 armaments and 2 additional abilities at each even level. Level 5, you get magic weapon, same scaling. At level 8, we have arriesgarse, which is basically Spanish for like to take a risk or take a gamble, which is kind of, I think, very flavorful for all ultimate abilities. So at level 8, you gain 1 ultimate ability of your choice, and then you gain, after you use it, 2 levels of exhaustion, and then the usual stuff that ultimate abilities get. Level 10, Segunda Etapa. Spanish for second stage. While released as an action, you spend 4 SP and become ascended. You can stay in this form a number of rounds equal to your level plus 1. These rounds need not be consecutive, and you can dismiss Segunda Etapa as an action, reverting back to your resurrection if you wish. You gain the following benefits while ascended. You regain 10 HP per Arankar level. Your natural weapons deals an additional die of damage. Choose a number of conditions equal to your constitution modifier that you didn't gain through your own abilities or keto. Those conditions end. You gain 4 additional armament abilities. You gain 1 ascended ability. Once your Segunda Etapa ends, you gain a level of exhaustion. And then at level 10, you get another one. Now, for some people, they think that Segunda Etapa is some unique kind of thing that only Ulquiorra obtained and something that he states as well. I would kind of disagree. I would say that Resurrection is basically in a wrong cars version of Shikai. You know, you have your first stage of just reverting kind of back to your primal instincts of what you were before you became a wrong car, obviously mixed with your current Shinigami like powers that you gain as after becoming in a wrong car. But then Segunda Etapa is if you trained and you gain that like this version of Super Saiyan. That's what kind of Bankai and all those other things are in different types of media, and especially in this setting. So that's what I think. And I honestly think that we've seen 2 Segunda Etapa in Bleach. First one, obviously, that everyone knows about is Ulquiorra. The second one is Yami, because first he releases and he's in that big ass form. And then when he gets into the second stage of the fight with the captains, he transforms again, and I believe that this is his Segunda Etapa, though maybe not as refined as Ulquiorra, as I don't think Yami is someone who trains like that, and it's more of like instinctual that he and got to that second stage, or just from all the built up spiritual pressure that he has from his ability that he was able to obtain it, but not something he does like maybe can do all the time. Only if he gets like super mad, so he's very limited or like held back in being able to go into his Segunda Etapa. So I mean, yeah, he was weak, but like I said, it's because it was not refined as much. Like probably Ukuriara who trained for it. So yeah, that's why I decided to make their ascended form the Segunda Etapa, because I just think that makes sense, and we've seen that in the show. So if this gets brought up or changed later on, as the series goes on, and maybe we get the new Hell arc finish and maybe some other kind of material that comes out, I will change it. But for the setting, I like it, and I'm going to leave it that way. Next up are hollow abilities. Now, I am not going to go through all of these individually because that would be too much. And we are already at a very long video, but I'm going to go over the changes that were made. So I added a new sentence here. If a hollow would gain a hollow ability and it already possesses an ability of the same name or similar, it gains an augment for that ability instead. So let's say that we had a monster that you're applying this template to have the essentially, like, let's see, what's a good one, like arcane ward ability, and it functions the same way or it has the same name, then they just gain an augment because they already have the ability, and you just like anytime you would gain an ability a second time, you would gain an augment. Basically, it would be the same thing. So if you would see a creature that has a bite attack, well, they have bite, they have this ability. It can be at a different kind of thing, but they'll just gain an augment and of it. So yeah, just want to make that clear. Same thing with breath weapon and all that stuff. But let's go over some of the new ones I want to go over. So For Sero, some of these I changed. Sero and Bala, they have some increased kind of requirements because I wanted to help nerf them a little bit, so they're not just the easy go-to powerful abilities. I want to, if you want to get into these abilities, you gotta sink in a little bit more stuff into it. I did lower the hit die requirements for Sero, and just about all of the holo abilities, the hit die requirements have been lowered significantly. But yeah, so Zero, same thing. Some things got changed here. One of the new abilities we have Zero Cornea, something that we see from Neutra's little buddy. What was his name? Tessera, something like that. Something that we saw him use, and it's just like a mini, uh, weaker version of Zero, but you can cast a little bit faster. So I wanted to add that in. We have cognition synchronization, which is something we see used by Ukiora, and these have been significantly changed. I definitely recommend seeing those. We have Colmillo, that's something that we saw Stark use when he created the spiritual weapons. And I made this ability also to, when sometimes there's like stat blocks of different monsters and they have like weapons, and it's like kind of awkward of like, oh, why does this hollow that I made kind of have a long sword? That's kind of weird. Well, I made this to help out with that as well. And then for hollows that want to have like a weapon build too, even though when they go into a hollow form, like your weapon disappears, it becomes part of you. I have this ability here too as well if you want to do that. Then we have a bunch of new natural weapons like claws, hooves, horns, talons, all that stuff. Like, yeah, all that things got changed. We got a bunch of new stuff here. Let's see what else do we got. We got Indice radar, same thing as before, but just so much more better in my opinion. Spellcasting, right? So before I had to change to magia because I wanted it to be a Spanish name and keep a Spanish name with a lot of these abilities, but it was confusing some people. It was a little too awkward, so I decided to change it back and just rename it to spellcasting. And it kind of gives you all the spells known or what kind of spellcasting you can do. So any kind of hollow can just pick it up if necessary and begin spellcasting. Let's see, everything else is kind of the same thing. Pesquisa is a little bit different. Before it was like a weird kind of like aura, and every round you kind of get new information. Instead, now it's like a little ping that goes out periodically and gives you new information. Yeah, all that stuff is kind of the same here. Um, Tail or tentacle. I decided to combine tail and tentacle and stuff like that into one kind of ability. So you can read through it. There's talons. I had some additional notes on for vengeful tracker, trunk if you want to be some like elephant kind of build looking thing, wings which weren't here before. I added wings in, but now let's get into ascended abilities. Now, as I stated previously, because Hollow isn't a kind of ability you can main and become a primary ability, there's no innate abilities. So that's not something that you get because it's just not a type to gain like that. But let's look at what we do have for ascended abilities because that's something we do have. Now, at the moment, I don't have any ultimate abilities. That's something I'll probably add later on. But yeah, I don't have any ultimate abilities yet, like specifically for hollows to do and gain. So I'll probably try to make some later on, but it's yeah, not really a not something I like I said, it's not like many of the other abilities, so I don't think that's something they're gonna get. But let's look at the ascended abilities that are specific to horror. We have Cero Obscurus. Oscuras. Yep, it's kind of like how you see in the show. Some of the wording got cleaned up a little bit. Obviously, like I said, the hit that got replaced. You need to have Grand Racer on 2 augments to be able to pick this up. But then we have obviously something that people are going to see and be pretty excited for, Cero Metraleta. Something that Stark used in his fights, and it requires a lot. So you need Cero, Cero Strike, and 2 other augments for Cero, Grand Race Cero, and 1 augment for it, and multi attack. So it's a bonus action, self, operable and somatic components, duration of 1 round. And let's read what it does. You charge your Ryatsu to fire a barrage of Cero. When you take the attack action this turn, each attack is replaced with a Cero. You still pay the cost for each Cero. You may select ability multiple times and you gain subtle ability, efficient ability, and then improve Metraleta. The amount of Cero you can fire with this ability is doubled. So every time, so when you take the attack action this turn, each attack is replaced with a Cero. So that means you're firing 2 Ceros instead. So if you make 3 attacks, that's 6 Cero. If you have some other ability that says when you take the attack action, you gain another attack. So like if you would gain 3, and then that ability takes 4, and then you have this, that's gonna be 8 and so on. So I have it that way so it can work with different kind of abilities that give you or can grant you additional attacks. And that way each attack is then replaced with a Cero. And of course you do have to pay for it because then that would be super giga busted. But yeah, this is if you want to go for like a Stark kind of you want to feel like Stark and have Cetro Metaleta, here it is for you to use. So let me know what you guys think. Go through some of these holo abilities, lots of changes, especially for the holo specific ones like Solita Vista, Pesquisa, all of that stuff. It definitely got changed. So let me know what you guys think. Spellcasting as well. Yeah, so that's kind of it for the holo abilities. All right, everybody. That is going to be it for this update. As you can see here, I also decided to add in the next kind of when the next update's going to be, which is going to be December 7th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Unfortunately, I know I have a lot of people that are enjoying this book that aren't in Pacific Standard Time in a different part of the world. So this is pretty late for you, unfortunately, but I can only release it on my schedule. And unfortunately, I'm in Pacific Standard Time. So not much I can do about that. I can't wait moving forward for the next updates that are going to be pretty big too, with the new feats and boons, and then of course getting to the rework for the summoner armament and the oppression armament later on. But some big changes I wanted to change as well. I was initially thinking of doing some homebrew stuff for people to make during this update, but I think that might be best after I finish the rework for Summoner and for Oppression. So people can post their stuff, their homebrew things that they've worked on in the Discord as well. I mean, technically you could do it now, and some people have, and I don't really have a problem with it. It's just doesn't make sense trying to do homebrew stuff for certain things that aren't finished yet. So I don't really I really want to get to a point more the book to a point where there's like a lot of things that are done. So those kind of things are make more sense to be able to do. I mean, like I said, you could do it now. I don't really care. But if any of them are really cool and people like it, they can get added to the book if people wanted to, or the person wants to get added to it as well. I'm kind of open to that. I've done all that too. We have previous people that have worked on the book that I got added to it when they brought it to my attention. Friend of mine, Drew, he's the one that made the gravity armament, put it together, presented to me, I cleaned it up, got added to it. Ben, he's the one that basically made the framework for the Arankar sub class and then presented it to me. And then I liked it, cleaned it up, and got added to the book. So I'm not opposed to, collaborating with the community and providing really good ideas and stuff and then getting it added to the book. But yeah, so I just want to. I could have more things to say, but I'm just gonna keep it short to that. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoy this updates. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you find any problems, any kind of wording I should change up, any kind of mistakes. I'll be sure to get them cleaned up, and then I'll probably do another probably hot fix for this update in a month. So in like sometime in October, probably like the first Sunday, like usual, or around that time. So just to like make those updates. So yeah, like I said at the beginning of the video, I think moving forward, I'm gonna make an update and then a month later do the hotfix, so people have enough time to play with the changes if they're in a campaign. As I don't think I can expect people to give great feedback with only having less than a week to view the book. So yep, that's it for it tonight. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one.